We're going to stick in LA and go to the other Los Angeles team because the Lakers, they snapped a 3-game losing streak last night by beating the Jazz. But Woj, take us inside the front office right now. What's the state of what's being talked about behind the scenes?
Listen, there's no question the Lakers have talked about Frank Vogels. Is the possibility of a change something that makes sense for them? But ultimately, it gets back to this. I think they look at the depth of their coaching staff. This is a different coaching staff than they had last season when they had Jason Kidd on staff, who obviously went on to become the head coach in Dallas. David Fizdale's been a head coach twice. He was the acting head coach when Frank Vogel was out with COVID. But all of a sudden, let's say hypothetically you move David Fizdale up. Now you look at the staff and you go, is this a staff that we're positive it's going to be better than what we have with Frank Vogel? I think they want to give Frank Vogel every chance here. I think last night was an important game for him. What any coach with a struggling team has to avoid is what happened in Denver the other night when you lose by 37, when your team's non-competitive, and then the questions become, has he lost the locker room? Well, that was an emphatic no last night, how they played against the Jazz. You know, they're going to get Anthony Davis back here, but I think this is an organization, I think, that wants to continue with Frank Vogel, but there's certainly a lot of pressure always in that seat with the head coach of the Lakers. No one's going to survive losing for very long, but I think right now Frank Vogel, I think he's got the opportunity to certainly hang in there until they get AD back and then really see what this team is.
Well, there's two sides to this coin, though, right? Because it's what the staff can do, and then it's the roster. So as you're looking at this roster, Legs, as it's currently constructed, what needs to change for them?
Yeah, Matt and I were talking about this earlier. I mean, you're talking about a veteran group that honestly has very little interest in the regular season. And the problem with the Lakers is if you think you're going to flick that switch once you get AD back, the weather gets warmer, you smell April 15th around the corner when the playoffs start, and you think you can just solve all your problems, then they're mistaken, because you're not going to come, I don't think, out of the Western Conference playing on the road in every single round, which is what they're really facing right now. Having said all of that, though, Woj hit it on the head. Listen, talent makes up for a lot of mistakes. And when you add a guy that's a multidimensional game changer on both ends of the floor like Anthony Davis, and you get a number of games under their belt with LeBron, with Westbrook,
right,
Carmelo back, when we can finally really see what is the ceiling of this team, we'll have a better idea. Right now, like a lot of teams in this league, they're missing a really key guy, and it's hard to evaluate exactly what they're going to be. Also, the age of their roster, I think the second half of the year is what these guys are built for. So let's get AD back, get some games under the belt, and then we can really judge what the Lakers are, because right now, they're not a contender in the Western Conference. We got to see what it looks like with AD.
Well, the trade deadline is looming, and as long as Adrian Wojnarowski is on this panel, I have to ask, is there anything brewing right now for the Lakers?
Listen, the Lakers tried. They tried to get involved with Cam Reddish. You know, the Knicks had a better asset for them. I think the Lakers are in a tough spot to do anything other than just kind of move the furniture around, to think that they've got the assets to do something to get dramatically better. Listen, Taylor Horton-Tucker, a good young player. Listen, he's probably better than what they can get for Taylor Horton-Tucker. Kendrick Nunn is yet to play this season. They put him in some trade discussions. But this is a team, listen, Miles Turner, who's a player in Indiana, he's out with a stress reaction in his foot. I'm told he will be out past the trade deadline in February, which makes trade talks more difficult for Indiana to get max value back for him. I think for the most part, the Lakers' improvement is going to have to come from within. They just don't have tradable assets, especially with so few sellers in the market. There are going to be other teams who can offer those select few sellers better offers than the Lakers will be able to.
So that improvement likely is going to have to be internal. Woj, thank you so much for joining us today with your insight and reporting.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.